office hours. So what does that mean? That means people can come in and out and ask us questions. And when there is downtime, we will take questions that we have fielded from earlier and show off some of our young designers stuff. So, hi, Twila.
Hello, Carrie. Hi, Ben. Hi, Mike.
How's it going?
Oh, we just got a November 12th start date for hybrid semi-in-person school.
Oh, awesome. Awesome.
So we're trying to figure out what that actually looks like. And then, you know, of course, I'm just looking at it, what it looks like for our Make Fashion EDU, you know, the heck with all the math and reading and writing stuff.
Right. So let's do a little recap of where our videos we've done and why we're here today.
Okay, go ahead.
So we've done 3 video sessions for Maker Camp, and the first session was led by Carrie, who showed Twila, who showed people how to craft things out of paper and cardboard to create a dramatic headpiece. And then our second session was with James, who did some basic soldering and showed how to use a MOSFET as a signal for a touch circuit, so to turn things on with touch. And then the third session was my session, where I showed people how to do some very basic photography at home. And so now this is our office hours, and we're hoping that some kids and other people who have made projects based on our videos will come and ask us questions, as well as just anyone else that wants to join us. And if we have some downtime, then we'll explore some other topics and talk about what we do and do some little fun projects and stuff. So feel free to put questions into the chat if you have any, and we're happy to address those. And otherwise, we'll talk about other things.
Right, and those of you that are on Zoom with us, feel free to unmute and ask a question, or put it in chat. But I guess before we kind of get started, just a little introduction. My name is Carrie Leung, and started Make Fashion with my students. To my left.
Hi, I'm James. I've done a lot of the electronics on here, and we've done electronics with students for a number of years now. And what we found is it's best to help people express their stories. Whether or not you understand the details about how to use this stuff, you know, if you're interested, great. But if you're not, we still want you to use technology to tell your story. And so we have a mixture of stuff where some of it is really detailed, and we explain like how the electrons are flowing, what the transistor is doing. And some of it is not, just plug and play, get it live so it can look beautiful for the photographs.
And that's where Mike comes in.
Yeah, so I'm Mike, and I was working on photography with anyone who wanted to share their projects, because sort of a foundation of our philosophy with Make Fashion EDU is that your projects and your work should come from a place of storytelling, that you should be embracing what it is that you want to say. You should be investigating things that are important to you and your community and your life, and then make projects that speak to those things. So whether you're solving some little problem at home, or whether you are advocating for something in the community or in the larger world, that sharing is a really, really important step. And one of the things that struck me, you know, coming into the Make Fashion EDU team, was that they had done these amazing runway shows, and that made it real for the kids. It's like, if they're designing for the runway and there's a deadline and they know there's going to be people there that see it, that means that they're taking it seriously, it's important to them, and also the adults in their community are taking it seriously. So going up on the runway, it really changed the kids, and like they seem to have a really great time, and it's really formative. So I did a photo session because we're thinking, okay, well, right now we can't go anywhere, we can't have big events, but it's still important to share. So the easiest, most accessible thing you can do at home with very minimal equipment is to try to take good photos that stand out, that don't just look like a normal photo or don't look like you're just standing in your living room, that can better express what you put all that work into your project for.
Cool. So that's a little bit about us and what we do. Educators, engineer, professionally media consultant. So what do you guys want to do? Do you want to show a little bit, meet our young designers until a question comes in? Unless Natalie or Twila, you have a question or something to share? Or should we take a question from the question cup?
I have a question for Twila, maybe in a little bit, if she's still going to be here. Maybe we can show a couple of the hats for new viewers. And I know Natalie hasn't seen the details of how some of this stuff works.
Sure.
And then we can do some of the questions. So we have some kids that made the projects in their schools, in classes, and we wrote down some of the questions that they had so that we could share them and some of the answers here on the show.
Yeah, I think that's a good review to talk about the hats that you and Carrie made.
Let's see. So, Carrie, do you want to tell us about all these paper flowers up on the front, and then next I'm going to ask you about the base.
So actually, I want to start with the story.
Okay.
The story behind this is I'm kind of really enamored by Chinese opera. So if you haven't checked that out, like Google it, Chinese opera, and it's kind of like a older craft of storytelling once upon a time in China, and a way to kind of spread the message amongst the people when you couldn't really say much. So this was just an inspired piece by that from Chinese opera. So a lot of Chinese opera pieces have flowers and whatnot, and that's where this started. And we're really big in upcycling and just reusing materials that we've had. And so we used cardboard, we've used newspaper, just random paper, and in some LEDs, the circuit. Oh, these things here are actually envelopes, envelopes from the mail. And so this was the piece.
Shall I light it up?
Yeah, go ahead.
Let's see. There we go. Okay. So for this lighting demonstration, we've just got some fairy wires and have it on a simple cell phone battery power bank. So there's a USB line right here. Later on, we'll show you some circuits that we made so where it's touch activated. But one important thing on the runway is a lot of times you are there to show your story, and it might not have so much ability to show the inner workings of kind of small electronics.
Right.
So oftentimes, like I was saying, we'll just get the lights on the piece and make sure it's presentational for a photograph or a runway exhibit. And then we also have some circuits where if you are presenting at your school or in a more intimate audience, you can show people the inner workings of things. So we'll do that on our down cam in a little bit.
Yeah, so a lot of everything we do is like fashion tech, so that we can fold in the STEAM subjects into something that is very accessible for our students. So, an entry level to get everybody started is to just put plug and play electronics on something like fairy wire. But as James said, like you can, you pull them in there, you guys are interested now and you want to do more, then you can start learning a little bit more of incorporating in the circuit sensors and programming and adding movement in there, and then interaction. So maybe Mike, we can show a piece with movement from the kids, or
in our slides here.
Yeah,
we've got a PowerPoint full of some photos and some videos from our Make Fashion EDU runway.
So let's start with Ellington. He's the first one there. So Ellington, his story was just to be kind to each other, and actually, Twila, do you wanna talk about this?
Oh, Twila, we would love to hear if you have insight into his story.
Yeah.
It started out with pit bulls, actually. That's why he wanted to do a dog. And he says, pit bulls are judged just because they're pitties and everybody's afraid of them. And then he adapted that to, that's the same thing. People look at me and they think I'm different, and that we start judging. So it went from the dog that he decided to do, that colorful dog, just to show that we shouldn't judge people by how they are look on the outside. So that was his story, and he took it through. We were when we were scheduled to do the Deeper Learning Conference, we were adapting that and going through it, and he wanted to have a heart that it was a touch sensor heart that would come on and off, that he can control to, you know, show the love and spread the love too. So that's ready and waiting for whenever he gets to do his second half show. Plus he's got great ideas coming up.
So Twila, can I ask you, like, what was Ellington's interest level or level of, you know, STEAM before he embarked on?
You know, Ellington, exceptional kid. He is eager for everything. I remember before we got into Make Fashion EDU, he was showing me something that he learned how to do in PowerPoint or on the computer. So we had that already, but you know, the kids have no idea about microcontrollers and how to get things off of the screen and into the real world. So he was excited to learn and do. So he's back with me again.
So I guess like a good entry point, you know, for kids that might not think that they are technical, you know, is I don't know the tech. I forget what the tech is on Ellington's, but was it a plug and play?
Let me think if his was. Yeah. His was pretty much plug and play. I don't think we added anything at the sensor until afterwards.
Right, and it garnered more interest.
Something I enjoyed about Ellington's piece, I interviewed him after the runway show, was he was actually talking a lot about soldering and getting lights to work. And I was asking him, oh, but it looks like you've got simple lights on your headpiece. And he said, oh no, I've been helping the other students with theirs. So he was able to kind of get his piece together, and he had a greater interest in kind of tech. And there was, you know, in a class, there was a lot of people to help out, and everybody was really receptive for his help, maybe because of his kind of attitude and his interest in figuring it out. I also like that the polygon headpiece that he put together was something that he grabbed from the internet, and then they started hacking it.
He was had to fold it, and actually, if I remember, he almost had to rebuild it twice.
Yeah.
Because there was a piece missing or something was glued the wrong way, but he just does it. I gotta say, he's an exceptional kid, but very kind as to others and to allow others to help him as well.
Right.
I mentored a university student today, and actually a lot of the same techniques apply. She's building a product that will help people, and we were really focused on the electronic circuit until we figured out, oh, you know what? Some things that do basically this already exist, and working on the electronics is not your focus. You're not trying to reinvent the electronics wheel. So we found some stuff online that will work for her prototype and for her exhibition, and are just going to move forward with that. Later on, if she wants to improve it, then we'll have the opportunity to open up those things and start hacking.
Yeah.
So let's see. Oh, Twila, if you're okay with it, then we'll get you on some of the screen for one of the next Tucson students.
I don't know if I'm okay with it. What's it gonna be?
So not right now.
Well, Carrie, do you want to show any of this video, or do you want to go to another slide?
Yeah. So Natalie, there was a great news segment on the runway show that Twila put on with her students. I think we should show it. I think that would be a great one.
Okay.
Roll it.
Roll it, roll it. Not this one. This is
No.
just him talking.
Oh, not this one. Okay.
But on the tab.
He's a great talker. So everything looked like a news story.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see.
Bear with us.
Which one is it?
It's the link on the top one.
Yeah. So the local news station came in and
The top.
interviewed Twila students, and he wound up giving a pretty good interview.
Yeah.
So they posted it.
With
it
eyes
was
as
on
unique
TV.
as yours, you need options.
It's the commercial before the
Nationwide
TV.
Vision.
Oh,
We've been
man.
professionals
This is rough.
30 years.
I
and
think we
can
have a
help
version of
design
this
the
without
perfect
the
eyeglasses to
commercial.
fit your vision needs.
Sorry,
See the
guys.
Nationwide Vision difference.
But
Nationwide Vision.
it was really great having the live channels there to
You're
interview the
watching
kids.
KOLT
Right.
News 13 live at 5.
Get out of the way. This way.
who know that they can create something to have that opportunity. Nice, looking good. Fashion show preparations are underway in Tucson, but this is no ordinary show. Students from the Tucson Unified School District will be showcasing designs they made.
The students have learned skills in the STEM fields by incorporating lights and electricity in the clothing pieces themselves. KOLD News 13's Jasmine Ramirez got a behind-the-scenes look before they hit the stage.
Students have been preparing for this fashion show since October, and tomorrow is their big day to showcase all their hard work on this runway.
Fabric, lights, and lots of creativity all have come together to create these works of art.
It's meaningful to them. So yeah, that's the best part for me, is just when they see it, they've done it.
The Make Fashion EDU STEM Runway Show is much more than just fashion. It teaches students to use their imaginations and to incorporate technology while doing so.
All of the kids have learned to use circuit blocks, with how to make a circuit, what's a short circuit, all of that. And then we also use coding, block coding.
And when the lights go out, you can see the designs come to life.
I program it, and so when I shake it, my lights turn off. And there's B and A, so there's two different kinds of colors.
Each student's clothing design also has its own unique story and inspiration.
I chose the galaxy because I like astronomy and stuff about like out of the world. Las Flores, because my mom, like everywhere we moved, she always had a plant. She had always had a garden and plants inside of her house.
Fifth grader Ellington Reed made a colorful dog mask that has a meaningful message behind it.
I want to impress like everyone is different and you should not judge them by their looks.
He says his design represents acceptance and treating everyone equally.
People are mistreating people and in this negativity, and I want that to change because like we should be all open mind for each other.
The masks, dresses, and shirts are set to hit the runway, but the students share they're a bit anxious about the big debut.
And I'm kind of nervous since this is a mess. I kind of feel like, and I'm really clumsy, I kind of feel like I'm gonna fall off the stage.
The show is open to the public and begins at 4:30 tomorrow. At the Dunbar Pavilion, Jasmine Ramirez, KLD News 13, live local, late breaking.
That was a great show.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that was an awesome show.
Really good.
What was that, Natalie?
That looks really good. I just really want to do that.
Just do it.
No, it's so important. And Twila, actually, I wonder if you can, there's a story that you told that I liked a lot. I wonder if you could repeat. I want to show some technical stuff from our questions, but before we get there, Twila, you once told me a story about how important exciting exhibitions were for the students. And you had seen it, I think, at a dance recital first, or maybe a music recital. And that was one of the things that kind of pulled you into project-based learning. I'm not sure if I'm getting that exactly right, but just the value of that big exhibition.
Well, okay. No, I think I remember.
Anna, could you embiggen Twila for this?
Great. Biggin, huh?
Thank you, Sienna.
There. Okay, so, well, actually, I taught at an art school and I taught dance there. And we had kids that would come and work before school, after school. They memorized lines for their plays. They knew their music. They we would have standing room only crowds. The parents and everybody would come to watch the shows. We had a beautiful theater. And then that was kind of the one side of the building. And then on the other side of the building, the kids were failing language arts, or, just not doing their classes. And it's like, that doesn't even, it doesn't make sense. They definitely have the ability. So what's the difference? So then one of our teachers, our drama teacher, came running up to us, say, you have to watch this show. You have to watch it. It was Oprah. And there were these people from High Tech High on it. So we said, okay, this is something that we need. If it works in the arts, it's going to work over on the other side. People will come if you have something to show. So 4 of us jumped in the car and drove 6 hours to San Diego and went on a tour. And it was like, wow, this is what arts teachers do all the time, but they're doing it with academics. And so showing what kids do. So we went back and we said, hey, we're going to do this. So we had kind of mandated that the teachers, we were going to have an exhibition night. So you had to have something to show. And the teachers like, nobody's going to come, because nobody ever came to parent-teacher conferences, and everybody only goes to the arts programs. But that night we had a full house, and we had science going on, we had artwork going on, and social studies with different perspectives, and it was wonderful. I don't cry when I think about it, but it was great. And the kids were there, they were proud of what they're showing. And so it's just that the idea that you're exhibiting outside of your classroom to just your teacher, and people are appreciating your work, and you can talk about it. So was that the story, Dan?
Yep. And I love that story. I mean, a lot of what Make Fashion EDU is about is making engineering and electronics something that also affects other people, not just this internal thing that you learn by yourself and then you're smarter with math and pieces, but something that actually affects the world. And so I think, learning from arts presentations and dance and performance is something that STEM just needs more of.
Well, and so we've learned with Make Fashion EDU, the exhibition part is very important for the young designers and the students, for them, their engagement, their learning, and just, an impactful experience. So thanks for the share, Twila. We have Jen from Facebook, and she is asking, do you typically add lights to be removable in case they break? Or like the strand of Christmas lights, if one light is an issue, does it ruin the whole strand? So James, you want to take this one?
Yeah. So Mike, can we switch to down cam for a second? Yeah. And Jen, I have a couple of things to show you. You can leave this up here. It's okay. So it depends, but I'll give you some quick answers. So let's see here. Where are we? All right. So with this pair of fairy lights, it has just 2 wires. There we go. It has just 2 wires. And so I'm going to get a little bit better at my camera tracking. There we go. And so if one of these lights broke on this set with the 2 wires, it may turn off the whole strand. And you can see that we've done a little bit of soldering for our custom pieces. And one of these solder joints, actually, I just cut it and twisted the wires right back together. There we go. I just cut it and twisted the wires right back together and resoldered it. So on this strand, if one of the lights had broken and turned off and everything else was off after it, then there we go. Then what I would do is cut it out and resolder it. So if this was a NeoPixel strip or line bits, it could be a similar thing, but in that case, they're a lot harder to solder. I'll show you what some of those look like. And I would want them to be removable. Let me rotate this so it's a little easier for you here. Okay, there you go. There we go. There's the NeoPixel strand. And these guys, they've got a little scissor mark on each LED. So you can cut them and resolder them. But something that we found is on wearables, when you get this on you and you're moving a lot, those solder joints will break really quick. So these ones, they have kind of a sticky back, and we try to make them a little bit removable in case they break. Whereas the fairy lights, those are safer to like just put massive amounts of hot glue on and just settle in, because if they break, really you could get in there with snippers, cut it out, and then just bridge it over with a wire. These 2-strand wires, when they're on, all of the lights are on. This is my touch circuit. So when I touch the negative, it turns off, and when I hit the positive, it turns back on. A little bit brighter. There we go. And so, so with this one, all the lights turn on at once, and with these NeoPixels, all of these lights are individually controllable, so they won't all turn on at the same time. That's one of the other ways that you can kind of help distinguish between the two.
Well, so Jen, I would like to add in here that it really depends, and I've learned this with the students. Really depends what you are making. So so for the students that are doing pieces where they're going to do a lot of movement, or they kind of, there's a lot of replay value, they make it removable. And so what they do is they sew a tube, and they put the lights in the tube and then attach the tube onto the garment. For the students that are doing things that are like more upcycle, like this cardboard, or like kind of a one-time use thing, you know, like cardboard armor, or you know, we have a lot of like cardboard work, but we would use sorry, it's a little distracting. We would use they would actually just stick fairy lights or put the lights on it, and they will know that, you know, when it's done, it's done, and if they can salvage the lights afterwards, they will. But to Ben's point, you know, if one of these like don't work, will it ruin the whole thing? It really depends if the lights are parallel or wired in series. And so like those would be the keywords to kind of look up and look for when you buy lights. Are the lights in, you know, parallel or in a series? So if it's in parallel, if one light goes off, the rest of them will stay on. But if it's in a series, that means one depends on the other. One light goes off, the whole thing doesn't work. So hopefully that answers your question. Please, if you know you need some clarification, continue to ask us.
Yeah, we'll give you a chance to ask a further question, and maybe I'll say one more thing on the subject. Something that I've gone through a lot is we'll use these DuPont header wires. They've got pins and they've got sockets. We use them a lot to elongate our circuits. And so we just click them, and it's like, oh, now you have a longer wire. When you have 30 students and they're all making longer wires, sometimes these things become loose. And it is a lot of trouble to find out where the loose connection is in a whole outfit. For that situation, I like to make it more secure with tape or hot glue, so that everything kind of stays together. So that's kind of like, when you ask if we should put cases around everything, really we're talking about, should there be cases around the joints between everything? You know, the same is true with the fairy wire. And the only time it's not true is with the long NeoPixels you don't really want to cut up.
Yeah. So the first question is like, what is your use? Yeah. All right. Good question.
Can I say something here?
Yeah, of course.
I found when at the Make Fashion, actually, in Calgary, when I saw the designers sewing little snap loops onto their pieces to hold the strips, the NeoPixel strips on it. And that was just ingenious to me, because then they could come off to use again. We did have to take some off to repair quickly right before the show, but it's best to sew them. We tried the hot glue, that didn't work, but it just snaps on a little loop and you open it and take it off. So that's another thing that it was a very good idea.
Awesome. Thanks for the share. Yes, we actually draw a lot of our practices from Make Fashion, which is the adult or professional make fashion, and they work with our students quite a bit, and help us with a lot of our ideas. But Ben, while you were talking about these DuPont wires, Mike, maybe we can show a piece where we used a lot of DuPont, a lot of these wires, which is the next one after Ellington, in the pictures.
Okay.
So,
This one?
yeah. So you can go ahead and play that.
And then switch from the down cam.
Yes.
Thanks, Mike. Let's see. Do you use? So Natalie has a question. Do you use conductor thread with LEDs on garments? And what do you think of it? This is an excellent question. It really depends on what your design is. So yeah, I have a hard time, like I'm an educator first, I'm a teacher first. So it's really hard for me to use conductor thread with like 30 kids all at once if they're just starting out. But we've definitely started using conductive thread with kids that are more independent and they've been with us a few years. Yeah, no, it really depends on your design, because if you use conductive thread, then you can have individual LEDs, where you want them to be.
Yeah.
And actually Make Fashion has a beautiful dress that shows that. I forget what the name of the dress is. But
somebody used the thread to actually do a nice pattern of thread on top of the dress so that you can see the wires, and the wires are also art. Myself, I'm not a fan of conductive thread, probably because I don't focus on making things look beautiful, or I think seeing all of the innards and the wires is like kind of beautiful. And for me, I would rather just use regular wire. It's very thread-like. You peel a piece off and you can get it to go anywhere that you want. But I do acknowledge that having conductive thread as a material is really empowering for artists and for students to think of a lot of different ways to use it, saying, oh, wow, thread can conduct electricity and turn on my LEDs. It sparks a lot of ideas. I don't use it because it's like an unexposed wire. Any part that you touch could short circuit. So you need to be more careful when using it. And you need to, I think that's what Carrie was saying, you need to have a student with some experience that understands how circuits work, so that when it's not working, they have an idea about how to troubleshoot.
So I think to sum it up, it's more of a conductive thread is a design choice in my opinion. So if you have these designs that you really want to do, and strips of LEDs and strips of LEDs like this and fairy wire just doesn't cut it. Use individual LEDs and conductive thread. But the cost in that is if you are working with students, if you are an educator or a parent, then the cost of that is it's a lot harder to use, in my opinion. But yes, it's definitely a great tool in the tool belt for fashion tech.
Yeah, and there's some beautiful conductive thread kits that you can buy online out there.
Yeah, Ada Fruit has quite a bit, I think.
Yeah. Well, why don't we look at some students that use some different types of LEDs, and Carrie, maybe you can tell us a little bit about those.
Well, yeah. So I was thinking of moving to Angela here. So her output. So her year one, she did the plug and play with the lights, and she wanted to do more. So this is Angela in her year two. This is when she was in 5th grade. She wanted movement. And so she used a lot of DuPont wire on the underside and a microbit to control servos. So in this piece, Mike, if you can play it,
Do you want the volume of this?
It's okay.
I can hear the servos.
Yeah, so she wasn't so much interested in controlling lights for her piece for this runway show. But you can see on the underside, it's a bunch of wires. So she did use the lights around as a design, as a what do you call it? Just
a design choice.
Embellishment, yeah. But she really wanted to incorporate movement. And so she learned how to block program with a microbit. She learned how to kind of wire this all together with some help. And she learned motors and movement. So Mike, if we can go to the next one, let's see, what do we have here? So here she is, testing out how she wants her cups to rotate. And, for those of you that are tuning in, and if, you're like, this seems too complicated and it's scary, it really isn't. You can get a microbit started in 5 minutes. Microbits are great. I have given these to second graders, third graders, and I kind of gave them the website, I think it's makecode.microbit.com, go. And I gave them the challenge of put a heart on the LED matrix, press a button and a smiley face comes up. They have been able to do that with very, very little guidance. So anybody can get started on a microbit really fast. But once they level up, they can do things like Angela's here. She is just a couple blocks of code to test out her teacups that are spinning.
So on her screen there, you can see blocks. Many of you might already be familiar with block coding, but it kind of Lego-fies programming. So she doesn't have to type all of her apostrophes or commas and parentheses to get her code right. She just selects them on screen, drags them over. They go to the microbit with a USB cable, and that's what's controlling her motors. This $20 board. Made by BBC and distributed kind of all around the world, and she can control motors and lights. One thing I wanted to mention about her lights is she had done a lot of lights the year before, so she just did kind of some plug and play lights, and these lights are the ones that she used. You can just change the colors of the lights with a click of a button. So she had learned that, but she still wanted to use its presentational capabilities. And so she has 2 different circuits on there. One for the motors, which was new for her and a challenge, and one for the lights.
Right. Okay, so let's see, Mike, let's see what the next slide for Angela is.
Okay.
So here's her photo shoot final piece of her Queen of Hearts. And they call it a carousel dress. But that one was a super fun make, and it took her about 2 months. 2 months.
About 2 months to get everything together.
Yeah, and so she, like James was saying, year 1 she definitely did the plug and play and was engaged after that. And then she took on programming and took on some more simple circuits. Year 2, and this is what she came up with.
A comment on this one is, I think even during this point, we were still having the kids focus on their story and their electronics. And then we were bringing them into a studio, and Mike was helping us figure out the best shots for each student. This year, we've gone a little bit farther, and we've realized that the students should be part of the photography process as well. And so actually for our videos, which will be in the description after this live cast, we've got 3 parts. 1 for kind of building the headpiece or building a wearable piece, 2 for the circuits, and then the 3rd one is all about photography. If we had the students photographing things at that time, I think we would have seen a lot of close-ups of tech and small pictures of process from them. So we're really happy to pull them into this documentation process. Oh, they're linked in the video description now, actually. Yeah.
So yeah, we try to have the students take on more and more. For the kids in Shenzhen, they've been doing this for a couple of years now. Like, they can produce the runway show. For the kids in Tucson, I think Twila, they're starting to produce their own media, I think. Are you going to try that next year?
We have the high schooler students at the Tucson show made their own video, and we have it live on our YouTube channel. And so you can see a student produced kind of videographed and Adobe Premiere cut of a runway show.
Yeah, so that one's, I think there's a link to that one, Mike, if you want to show that one on the first screen. So for the last Tucson runway show, the high school team came in and recorded it, and then gave us the footage. And then one of my students from High Tech High, he edited and produced and put the highlight reels together. So good job, all the kids. So if we want to take a look, this is what they produced. It was great.
This is the kids coming out for the show, or maybe is this the end? No, they're all doing a great walk around.
That was the last.
And
the last. Let me get it.
That was the end of it. And then here is the runway, and this is in the spot that we just saw the newscaster.
I'm so confused on which way to go, but that's okay.
And so everybody came out to see it. One thing we haven't mentioned is at these runway shows, we keep the lights, very low so that they can really show the lights on their outfits and their pieces. Whereas photography, we've been kind of bringing the lights up so you can see more of the tech and more of the handwork on all of the pieces. This one was beautiful.
Yes. So Natalie and everybody else that's joining us, aside from incorporating fashion tech into wearable pieces and storytelling, if we zoom out, the kids start producing the shows, they start producing marketing, they start making their own music. Some of my kids from High Tech High made some of the runway, the music for their runway show. And so there's a lot to this. And after we watch this, I want to introduce what Maria did.
So you can see on these dresses, some of them are fairy lights. There's some purple fairy lights. Some of them are line bits and individually controllable LEDs.
Yeah.
The thinner lines are EL wire. All different options. Generally, there is either thread or hot glue holding everything down. And with most of these, we wound up being able to remove them for repair pretty easily. The ones where you see the softest light, where it's being diffused, that stuff is usually encapsulated in fabric, and it's a little bit harder to repair.
Twila, do you want to add some?
Well, this one, after this show, was the first that we did a gallery where when you saw the kids walk out at the beginning, they were walking outside to stand by posters that they had made that told about the tech that they used or their process. And then that way people could go up and talk to them about their work and take pictures and all of those things. And I really like that addition because again, it's the kids talking and they thought they were celebrities. So it was really good. I like that addition to the runway to have a gallery too.
Yeah, the gallery was amazing. And we're talking a lot about presentation of electronics here, but again, that's really what a lot of it is about, is making something with a purpose. And the purpose is usually sharing it out to the community. So the gallery was a great option for students to be able to tell their stories. Whereas on the runway, it's more of a visual.
Right.
And I think that's good for kids to get both of those, so that they see that it's visual storytelling, it's visual literacy. And at the same time, they have such confidence when they made it, they talked about it and they know. So I think we kind of do everything that education is supposed to do. And, in this encapsulated Make Fashion EDU runway show.
Carrie, I see a comment from Nathalie about lots of skills and learning. And I want to say one of the big challenges that I face when introducing the idea to new teachers is that they feel like they need to have lots of skills and learning before starting anything. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So just get started. Like Twila said earlier, just get started. A little bit about myself. My background is actually finance and project management. I'm not somebody that's into fashion, but now I am. And all my electronics and all this stuff is really like self-learned. I embarked on this adventure because my kids wanted my students wanted to. And so we learned it together, and now we have like a community, with Make Fashion EDU. You can join the Make Fashion EDU Discord community, and there's somebody there that will always answer your question. It's comprised of students, teachers, makers from all over the world. But that's the thing, like it is overwhelming, but just get started. And it doesn't have to, the end product your first year doing it doesn't have to be a complete runway show. It could just be the kids putting their stuff together, have a photo shoot, and put it into a lookbook, which you can easily paste, their writing, their story, and their picture on Google Slides, and it could be shared out with the community. But Twila, do you have anything to say to that? I can repeat myself over and over about just getting started, but this looks very scary, I think. But
it helped to have your support to help get organized or have a format, and I think we've developed a format now that works, from having a photo shoot to the runway to the gallery. It's morphing, and I think this year it's gonna even change a little bit more because of whatever virtual we have to do. But there's a community, but there's also some structure that we've developed. So, we've been through it. So just start and ask questions. I think I said this before, you're not going to ruin the kids. Just do it.
Yeah, it'll be okay.
And it's okay to learn with them. I think another point to what you just said, Twila, is, it's a community effort. Once we started getting on this, the makers in the community, industry started coming along, and then the parents and grandparents, and oh man, everybody was getting involved, and that is like my favorite part.
That's, I was going to say too, that the parents, they want to help. They have ideas. They're very generous with their time. And with my kids, they come and say, my Nana has a sewing machine, and now I had her get it out, and my Tata has helped me make this, or it's just it brings something about the fashion part of it is something people can understand. And then when we talk about the storytelling and the tech, no big deal. It just comes. And I've got to say, I just got a couple of local grants again. I think this is the third year, because people love the idea of old technology and new technology and traditional and coming together. It's an easy sell. So just do it.
Get started.
Yep.
So with that said, maybe we can we highlight Maria's piece, Mike? So she's a great example of what Make Fashion EDU really is trying to do is giving kids a voice and a platform. And so this is Maria. Her piece has a huge story, and she's not the only one that has had this story. So she had this idea of, well, actually, can we play the video? So a researcher from the US came to visit us, and this was when we were in Shenzhen, and he made a short video of us and Maria, and I'll explain it a little bit more, but this is like visual and more succinct. So this one, yeah, you can play it. Oops, going the wrong way again.
Uh-oh. What's in this video?
So this is the video. Anyways, this video introduces how Maria's ideas actually went to market and made it on a runway show for Shenzhen Fashion Week. If the video can play.
Maybe you can just discuss it.
Yeah, maybe I can talk about it. Well, while it's trying to load, so Maria had this.
Teacher.
Oh, here we go.
Nope.
Technical.
I have a
Yeah.
student named.
Do we have a link for this somewhere?
Maria, and she.
No.
All right, guys. I'll talk about it. Yeah. Maria, her story is about moods. She wanted to talk about, when somebody feels good and feels bad. And so her inspiration was actually creating butterflies on a garment that launches off. And so as you can see here, she created a garment with butterflies launching off. And so that idea was just so inspiring for so many people that this small tech company named M5 took her idea, worked with her, and she was basically consulting them on what the idea is and how it should be on a wearable. And and her idea went to a product and it went live in a small batch. So this is an example of a fifth grader at this point, making an impact, going into, basically a boardroom and talking with these guys of production cycle and telling engineers what the requirements and constraints of what a wearable means to these engineers that don't do wearables. So that was one thing that was amazing. And then the next thing that was amazing with Maria was that the idea spread so far that launchable butterflies off her garment that they used her idea and her butterflies, and it went down the runway show for Shenzhen Fashion Week. So on made it to the Fashion Week. And so she was able to attend and, kind of consult on how to wire this up, how to prep the model before the model walks down the runway. And so to me as an educator, this created not only an experience of learning, the math, the science, and designing and storytelling with the writing, but she actually got to partake in creating a product that went to market and consulting for a model, consulting a runway show. And I think those are very valuable experiences for students. And these are things that we seek out for the kids. And I can't stress this enough. It's not just us. I feel like if you delve into your community a little bit, there's always somebody that's willing to help and willing to give opportunities to your students. Let's see.
I have a question from Natalie about boards.
Okay.
So let's see. Mike, could you put us on the down cam for a moment? We use a lot of different boards. And so here's a microbit. Let's see. Here is a Circuit Playground Express. And I think the Circuit Playground Express is a little bit similar to the LilyPad. I think the LilyPad has an Arduino programming interface. And Arduino programming, a lot of it is writing the commands in text coding, whereas these can also use block programming. Both of them work well. And the LilyPad has a big library of kind of LED controls behind it. Using it with maybe 5th or 6th graders can be a little bit challenging unless the students are really into it. Using it will connect. I hear you. Oh, okay.
Are we back?
So, large copy.
Yeah.
Are we back?
Virtual camera. Oh, okay.
Okay,
Yes,
Twila, if we're back, then let me know.
Yeah, we're here.
All
You're
right.
back. You're back. Does that mean time is up?
Almost. I got one more comment about these boards, which is that a 4mm bolt can go right through there, and you can just twist a wire around that. So it works really well. But LilyPads, yes, LilyPads work very well. And if you didn't hear me before, I was saying maybe 8th grade or above for writing the text programming commands. But if a younger student likes to do text programming, then by all means empower them. An advantage of these boards is they can switch between block programming and JavaScript text or Python. So a lot of good options there.
Yeah, so it's great if they haven't done much programming to start off with either one of these, and then they can go on their own path and see where it takes them.
Yep.
And like James says, there's so much content out there on the internet that supports these two boards. You just need to kind of delve in and look for what you're looking for.
And an easy way to offer more challenging programming platforms like that is by also having a couple of pre-programmed things, so that students don't have to go all the way just to succeed.
Right. All right. So we are coming into our last few minutes of our office hours. So if anybody has any other burning questions, like go ahead and ask us, either mute yourself or text in the chat, or you can always find us pretty much on Discord, email.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you can leave comments here. We'll check the Facebook later on. Oh, Natalie, the M5 block, I think that has an Arduino programming interface, and the block itself is what receives the code. So with the M5 block, you wouldn't need to use a lily pad. It would kind of be either or.
Thank you.
No problem.
You can see more pictures of the Make Fashion EDU students on Instagram, instagram.com/makefashionedu. We will be monitoring kind of the Facebooks and YouTubes over the next few days. So if you guys do have some questions that you didn't get a chance to ask, then you can look there. I think we'll post our Discord link. There's people from all around the world. So generally you can post at any hour and probably somebody will be checking in. So that's an excellent resource to have. In general, the Maker Camp program has been offering a lot of different ways for students to log on and learn some skills. Yes. Yeah, we hope to have some crazy hat pictures posted as well.
Yes. All right. So this is nearing the hour. I think office hours was kind of fun.
Yeah. Well, I hope that as more people see our the videos that we did and for the hat and the coding and everything like that, that we're going to see some more pictures popping up on social media and hashtagging Make Fashion EDU and Make Together. And hopefully, if we see some of those results down the road, we can share them. And we're online. We're on social media. You can find us.
We're here. So thank you, Natalie, for tuning in. Twila, Jen, and then thank you so much, Sienna, for all your help. Have a great evening.
Yeah. Thanks, everybody.